Hello, YouTube people. My name is Mike Cromwell. I would like to talk about a subject. I'm using YouTube to raise concerns or discuss a subject that I don't think has been discussed yet, and I just want to put this out there because I think it's important. I think it's important. It regards the situation in Israel right now. Um, as you should know by now, Israel was attacked, brutally attacked on October 7th of last year, 2023. Uh, Upwards of 1,400 Israeli people, Jewish people, were killed by terrorists from a group called Hamas over in Israel in the Middle East. Okay, there's been a lot of fallout from that. Israel has to get revenge, or you can put it that way, or to respond to the attack. They have gone into the area where the terrorists emerged, called the Gaza Strip over there, which is right next door to Israel, and they have leveled an attack. They've gone in on the ground with tanks and soldiers, and there've been casualties on both sides since October 7th. Okay, the Palestinian people are make up Hamas, and they're the majority Arab group with the closest proximity to Israel. Okay, so the Palestinians live in the Gaza Strip. Excuse me. So it's a mess over there right now. Today is the January the 8th. It's been 3 months since that attack. The reason, excuse me, the reason I'm making this video is I like to discuss an area that I don't think has been discussed. All right, since the attack, there've been more or less two sides to the issue: those who support Israel in their right to defend themselves and exist in the Middle East over there, to have a nation over there, and those who, for lack of a better term, have celebrated the attack, saying that Israel has been a dominator over there and has not given the Palestinians their rights over there, and the Palestinians have been on, have suffered over there ever since 1948, when Israel declared itself a state in that part of the world. Okay, and so those people characterize the Palestinians as victims all these years. That the Jews just moved in over there and without regard for anybody around them and just kind of took over. Okay, that's a related issue. Trust me, because if you believe in the Bible like I do, God gave the Jews, the Israelis, that land over there originally thousands of years ago, and so they were just returning. Okay, that's something I'll touch on later. But so there have been two sides since the attack: people supporting Israel, people against supporting the Palestinians. So if you turn on the news at any point in the day, that's still in the news. You can find those debates, those discussions. Okay. But what I would like to discuss, let me interject one more thing before I go into what I want to say, is that I am a staunch supporter of Israel. I believe in Israel's right to exist. I believe that its founding is biblical, found in the Bible. God gave that land over there. He actually gave much more. God of the Bible, I'm talking about, the Christian Bible, or the Jewish Bible. There are two parts: the Old Testament, the Jews believe in; the complete Bible with the New Testament, Christians believe in, followers of Jesus Christ. Okay, but in the Old Testament, God gave them that land. He gave them much, much more. So the little bit of land they have right now is just a sliver compared to what God originally gave them in the Bible. Look it up for yourself. Pick up a Bible and read it. Okay. So they're fighting over a little bit of turf over there in land that was originally given to them in the Bible. Okay. Um, and it was also given to them historically after World War II. I'll touch on that a little later too. But the what I want to say in this video, some may see as being critical of Israel, even though I am a staunch supporter of Israel. And we're told in the Bible, again, in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, to bless Israel. And those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed, and the Jewish people. That's non-negotiable. Okay. At the same time, the reason I'm here is to offer another perspective on those attacks on October 7th. Now, I have not heard this perspective anywhere, not in the mainstream media, where I would not expect to hear it at all, or even in Christian circles, which I Christian conversations, which I either take part in, I listen to, various ministries on television, churches, things like that. And my point here is that did Israel, modern state of Israel, provoke the attack on themselves spiritually? Okay. People that don't like them will say, yeah, they provoked it. They've been provoking it for the last 50 years because they shouldn't be there in the first place. Well, I disagree with that. They have a right to be there. But how have they been behaving since they've been there in the eyes of God? That's my point. Have they been doing things that God has approved of over these years? Okay. Have they been acting in ways that delight God, that serve Him? Okay. Or are they just serving themselves? Okay. So it's a very important question. And again, I have not heard this discussion because those who support Israel, largely Jewish people themselves or Christians who support Jews, the Jewish people and Israel for their own reasons, for our own reasons, they've not had leveled any criticism at all against against Israel. So let me get to the point. In the Bible, if you read it, you will find that every time tragedy befalls the Jewish people, the Israelis, it is something that they did, and they were punished by God for it. Okay, it was a pattern in the Old Testament, on and on and on, until they were just totally cast out of the land, taken into captivity by different other ethnic groups in that part of the world. Over time, okay, they return, and then and they've been in and out of the land for centuries. Okay, and God told them that when He led them out of Egypt early in the Old Testament of the Bible, and said, if you don't act right, I'm paraphrasing, you're going to lose all of this. Okay, and that happened. Okay, so that's been a pattern. Okay, and there's no reason to believe that God's instruction to them doesn't apply to them now. In other words, if the Jewish people over there are not doing what the God sees as right in His eyes, then He's going to punish them again. All right. So I've often wondered. Get back to October 7th in a second, but uh, the greatest tragedy in modern times was probably the Holocaust in World War II, where Adolf Hitler, the leader of Germany during that time, from the 1930s to the mid 1940s, decided he wanted to eliminate all Jews everywhere. And it was a demonic spirit that inhabited him, because to eliminate the Jews would eliminate God's relationship, would eliminate God, because they're God's chosen people. Read that in the Bible also. And so the estimate is that he killed, exterminated, tortured 6 million Jews, European Jews, in World War II, while he was fighting wars to gain new territory, to take over Europe and eventually the world. One of his side assignments in his own mind was to eliminate the Jews in Europe, and he did a lot of damage. 6 million Jews were killed. Most of you should be aware. He's at least the basic history of the Holocaust. Okay, all right. But I've often wondered, but that was so horrific. And I know that the pattern of God is that He punishes His relationship with the Jewish people. He blesses them, because they're His chosen people. But He's also has promised to punish them when they don't do what He follow the commandments that He gave in the Bible. Okay, so I've also wondered, what were the Jewish people in Germany and Europe doing that would provoke God to lead this maniac Hitler to try to exterminate them. Okay, I've never gotten a clear answer on that. I never really asked anyone. I feel more comfortable asking an actual Jewish person, perhaps a rabbi, someone who knows history, spiritual history, and natural history, why he thinks that is, or ask for several Jewish people. I will do that. I haven't done that, but I've often wondered that, and deep down in me, there has to be a reason for that. Why would God allow such catastrophic tragedy to afflict them during World War II? Okay, I'm asking the same question about October 7th. That's That's why I'm making this video. Okay, who am I? I'm just a Christian. Okay, I don't have a scholar. I don't have a PhD in divinity or religious studies or anything like that. I'm an English teacher by trade, but I'm also a Christian, and I study the Bible, and I have questions, I have observations, I have some opinions. Okay, so with regard to October 7th, I'm asking myself again, why did he allow that to happen? Okay, and I've come up with a number of reasons I like to put out there, and I'm doing this, putting these things out there for debate, discussion. Excuse me, with the end goal or hope that not only will Jewish people's eyes be open to how they should how they their relationship with God should be, ideally, but all people around the world, Christians, non-Christians, that there is a God, he created us, he gave us his commandments in the Bible, and we're supposed to act in accordance with those. And if we find ourselves struggling and suffering a lot of times, the reason for that is we're out of step with his rules for us to live by. That includes me, Christians, Jews, everyone else. Okay. So what I've learned about Israel in the last few years, it's kind of disturbing. The first thing that comes to mind is that I don't know, most people aren't aware that when we think of homosexuality, we think of America. I mean, if you're an American, you think about that, transgenderism, we see all that. But most people in America aren't aware that Israel has one of the largest concentrations of homosexuals in the world. And they have one of the largest homosexual parades and festivals each year. Okay. Why do I mention that? Very important. Uh, whether you agree with homosexuality or not, and this world is trending toward more acceptance of that, God is not in favor of that. Never has been. It's in the Bible in numerous places. It's in the Old Testament of the Bible, okay, that the Jews follow, and with Sodom and Gomorrah, the destruction of them for that very practice. So for them to be practicing that outwardly in today's world, modern society, God's views on that have not changed. Okay. So I think you should be able to see where I'm headed with that. Um, Even at least in that particular arena, okay, social allowing that sort of behavior to take place in Israel right now. Perhaps God is sending a message with October 7th that among other behaviors he's not pleased with. Okay, a celebration of those types of, especially when in their own Bible he demonstrated his displeasure with that, with the account of Sodom and Gomorrah and some of the laws that given to them by Moses. I mean, it's very clear to me, and it's kind of astounding. I have not heard some of the things I'm saying right now. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a scholar, but these things are very clear to me. So in one sense, I'm speaking to Christians out there and Jewish people. Wake up, open your eyes. I mean, you need to. It's okay to criticize sinful behavior, which I'm pretty much suggesting that the Jews may be and the Israelis may have been engaged in, and provoke God to what happened on October 7th. That they need to get their act in order, their ship in order over there, and the promulgation of gay rights, and just like here in America, we're paralleling them. Punishment can be coming our way too, and it has. Okay, so we have a lot of religious history that are similar and traditions that are similar. So we're not immune to that either. That sort of punishment from God. Okay, uh, maybe September 11th was something related to God getting our attention in that area. But these are things we need to consider. Okay, that if things happen to you, God is trying to get your attention. Okay, that you're doing something He's not pleased with, and I guarantee you, He is not pleased with uh, Israel's embrace of homosexual lifestyle and culture. I guarantee you that. And so keep that in mind. All right. A couple other things um, that stuck out to me. Uh, I don't live in Israel, and I watch some news over there, so I don't know day to day. But I know it's also very, very secular that they don't, in general, the general population does not follow God, does not believe in the God that delivered them from Egypt and Moses, and all the prosperity they have now comes from God, but they don't live their lives day to day like that. And so, they, a lot of people fall, they're different. There's a spectrum of, when it comes to spirituality, from what I understand, they're extremely religious Jews. These are the ones you've probably seen on TV with wearing all black, with the black hats, with the curls down the sides of their faces, wearing prayer shawls, and very ascetic and very. You see them on TV at the Western Wall. They're praying. There's that extreme, and then there it comes all the way to the extreme where there's some Jews that don't believe in God at all. Some that uh, you know uh, uh, observe some of the traditions of Old Testament traditions of um, that you read about the various feasts, the yearly feasts, Passover, and you know, but there's a spectrum. But in general, Israeli society, from what I understand, is very secular. They don't really observe God at all, and they don't. Perhaps they don't see God, the hand of God, in their very existence as a nation right now. Okay, and that's a problem because He needs our attention. He needs our focus. So He's not getting that, and and we're not giving Him gratitude for what He gives us. He's going to get our again. He's going to get our attention. And so, what I've heard from some of the Jewish organizations, the Messianic Jewish organizations that I listen to, and there are a lot out there, which is good. That's a positive. They believe in Jesus Christ like Christians do. They're telling me that I'm reading that a lot of Jews that didn't follow God, believe in God, the God of the Bible, was what I'm talking about, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're asking questions now. Why did God let this happen? So it's sad that it would take something like that for them to wake them up and provoke their interest in God. But this could be the exact reason why He let this happen. So I'll try to move along here. I just want to make a couple more observations. I found it interesting that during the October 7th attack, uh, there were the major attacks happened in the kibbutz areas where these collective communities where they shared you know the economic they shared in their economic lifestyles, and they share it as a community. Okay, that's what the kibbutz system is all about. I'm not an expert in that, but so they bartered and they shared and they grew common gardens and things like that, and they were right alongside the Gaza Strip where the terrorists came that attacked them on October 7th. um I just think that there was their security, their sense of security was in themselves. I mean, I think they needed to well, actually, I'm sorry, that's not what I was going to say. Um the major attacks happened there, in the kibbutzes, okay? The most brutal, savage of them, okay? Which I cannot bring myself to watch. There were videos out there. I can't. I'm a very sensitive person, and I've heard about it. I don't want to see it. Some people have seen it, and just hearing what they said, I don't. That's enough. All right. A separate attack, though, happened at a music festival that was going on at the same time that the terrorists attacked. I don't know if the terrorists knew that it was going on at that time and they planned the attack around that festival, or it was just a coincidence that was going on. So anyway, they murdered pretty much everyone at the festival. 300 people were killed there. I heard they lined them up. They had machine guns and they gunned them down. They set people on fire. They raped women. Okay, that was the festival attack. It was a music festival for young people, just like we have here in America, going to a concert, basically. And then it was a kibbutz attack where they leapt over a barrier and got into the kibbutz areas and just killed everyone they could find. Just absolutely horrible. Okay. But at the music festival, what I learned was they were, and I don't know if I'm correct here, but I heard there were images of pagan gods there. It wasn't a festival where they were celebrating. It was during one of their religious holidays, a Jewish holiday. But I heard there was a statue of Buddha there or something like that. If you want to email me or something through YouTube or whatever, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the breaking the first commandment of the Bible, the Ten Commandments, which God gave the Jewish people. Um, to live their lives, to guide their lives, to have the most successful lives after he freed them from enslavement in Egypt in the Old Testament of the Bible. You shall have no other gods before me. So that's a direct affront to God right there. You have Jewish kids in a pagan festival worshiping a pagan God, a God who's not the God of the Bible, Yahweh, okay? The great I am, as he's known in the Bible, but a pagan God, a man-made God, Buddha, all right? If I learned that correctly. Okay, so again, I'm getting back to the point. The question, I guess, and if there's a way to communicate with me, send me emails back or whatever about this, that's fine. Uh, did the Israelis bring this upon themselves in some ways? Okay, I mentioned two things: the embrace of homosexuality, paganism, a non-secular culture that doesn't really embrace God in general at all, that sees things as just living life for materialism, pleasure, just like we do here in America. So beware, okay? Beware. All right, because we fall under the same, supposedly, we're supposedly a Christian nation that also follow the Ten Commandments. It's given to man in the Bible, the Jewish people in the Bible, okay? And finally, I'll say here, just in general, as a secular nation, as we see right now, what are the Israelis doing right now in response to the October 7th attacks? They're using their own human will, human might to make things right. Their tanks, their guns, their weapons, their political acumen, they're not saying, "Oh God, why did this happen? Can you help us out? Please protect us." Some of them are, but when we get from the television right now, the military, they're going in and doing it alone. I mean, they're they're relying much too much on self. Okay, which is we're supposed to rely on God. Okay, we're supposed to pray to Him, ask for direction. Okay, now God may be driving them to defend themselves, and they have the right to do so. Okay, but to get to the point where you think that what you have and your personal strength is good enough to survive in this world, it's not really where God wants you to be. Okay, He doesn't want you relying on yourself because that can turn into pride. Okay, and that's something he doesn't like at all either. So in summary here, I just want to raise the question. I guess that's all what I'm trying to do here. I'm a supporter of the Jewish people. I always will be. I contribute to Jewish causes, particularly in light of October 7th. But I still felt the need to raise the question for Jewish people to hear and others, and particularly Americans. Are you living your life the way according to God's rules? Okay? Do you know what those rules are? Do you know where to find them? And if you do, you need to. If you don't, you need to. And once you find them, you need to evaluate yourself. Are you doing what's right in God's eyes? And if you're not, he's gonna get your attention. Did he do that on October 7th? Okay. Is there something that going on in Israel right now, Jewish culture and society, that has displeased God to the point where he allowed that to happen? Okay. This is what this is my point here in this message. And I pray for the peace of Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We're supposed to do that as Christians. But I hope to provoke some thinking here about how we need to behave as human beings in our relationship with God. That's was an example with the Jews on October 7th, and that can be an example for all of us. If you have any ideas, you want to respond to this, I'm going to post this publicly. I would like to get some responses because I haven't heard this myself. I'd like to know what other people think about this. Do you think this is a serious consideration? Do you think this is what happened on October 7th? I personally think this is what happened. I think this is why they were attacked. Okay, some of the things that I mentioned they're doing or not doing. Okay, but I'm ended right here. Please respond if you feel so inclined. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, my name is Michael Cromwell, by the way. Bye bye, and God bless you. God bless Israel. God bless America.